So, I am falling in love with Guy Gavriel Kay's writing. I made a review for A Song for Arbonne, and now I'm going to talk to you about the Sarantine Mosaic, which is Sailing to Sarantium and Lord of Emperors, a duology by Guy Gavriel Kay. I love these books. I mean, the world is inspired by the Byzantine Empire. We get basically the reign of Emperor Justinian and Theodora, and, Sarantium itself is Constantinople. Now, I have always been a Romaboo, and so when I found out that this took place in one of my favorite historical settings, I was already sold. And then I read A Song for Arbonne first because I thought it was a better way to kind of get into his writing. And holy crap, Sailing to Sarantium was everything I wanted and more. For a minute, I'm just going to talk about Guy Gavriel Kay's writing overall, and then we can go from there. His lyrical prose is just unmatched. I can't believe that it took me this long to finally get to his writing. And the way he takes historical events and merges them with a little bit of fantasy and just kind of shaves the serial numbers off. It is such a fantastic way of writing fantasy that I wish more people would do. One of the things I have figured out from reading Guy Gavriel Kay is he has given me permission to write things the way I have wanted to write them. I'll talk about that again when I review The Lions of Al-Rasan. So watch for that review too. That'll be coming out. I have always liked the idea of plotting a story around major historical events and just kind of changing the names. That's what my boy GGK does. So it's a match made in heaven for me. I just have loved everything I've read from him so far, and I can't wait to read more. Now let's talk about Sailing to Sarantium. The story starts, as all GGK books do, with just a banger of a prologue that just instantly sells you on the book. And we end up meeting Crispin, who is the main character of the Sarantine Mosaic. He is a mosaicist, and someone shows up and is like, hey, the emperor is looking for this guy, this master mosaicist. And the actual master mosaicist is like, oh, he's over there. And it points at Crispin. So Crispin's like, wait, what? And he just goes along with it. And then he talks to his mentor, and his mentor's like, I'm too old. I don't want to go. You go. You're just as good as me. And he's like, but it's not for me. And he's like, I really think you should be the one that goes, blah, blah, blah. So he goes. A good chunk of the book is his journey from northern Rome. In here, it's called Verona, also known as Ravenna, the capital of Rome at this time. He travels across the Adriatic Sea to basically Croatia, and then walks down the coast near these woods through Albania and all of that. And yeah, the woods be scary. They're very ancient woods with very terrifying things in it. There is a scene in here that is like the major fantastical thing that happens in the whole book, and it is incredible. I mean, it just blows you away with the intensity of seeing something not of this world. That's one of the really nice things about Guy Gavriel Kay is his books so far have magic in them, but it's very subtle. And when it shows up, it's just alien and different and a power that mankind cannot understand. This magic adds like a weight to the stories in a way that you don't see in a lot of other fantasy that uses a lot more magic. It's just so cool. So anyways, the book ends with him getting to Sarantium, and then events happen. He meets people along the way. He takes some people with him. He gets to Sarantium. There is an amazing chariot race that I loved. I mean, one of the things I enjoy about history is when you realize that we have always enjoyed watching people race around an oval, going real fast, and they might die. It's just cool. So when they get to Sarantium, Crispin immediately figures out, oh, there's a lot of political things going on. All this court intrigue, all these power struggles, all these little things that just sell the book. It's so good. I will give one gripe now that I read 3 Guy Gavriel Kay books in the month of September. He does a little too much of the, oh, this thing's happening right now, and it's happening through the perspective of the character we're following, but I'm going to leave things a little hazy to add to the intensity. He does it just a little too much, but that might just be that I read 3 of them in a month, so I really noticed it. The other thing he does that I'm like, he does a whole, oh, we'll see, this event that's about to happen right now really changed things later on, and it's very important that this thing happened, is kind of the way it's worded. And I'm like, all right. I will say I love his ability to jump forward and backwards in time to kind of build up an event that's going to happen. Say someone's going to this palace and this big thing's going to happen, and it'll be like, oh, we'll see, these are the events that led up to this. He will show the person entering the palace and the thing starting, and then he will kind of roll it back and show different POVs and how the pieces all fit together for the event to happen, and it's very exciting. That has a major role when I talk about Lord of Emperors in a minute. So then that book carries on. I mean, I'm not going to talk about any more of it. The journey is maybe the first half of the book, and the journey is so good. I mean, it was worth me talking about. I'm not going to spoil the second half. And then with Lord of Emperors, we'll just say it picks up immediately after Sailing to Sarantium. And Lord of Emperors has a time jump for the main characters from Sailing to Sarantium, but he introduces a different character to start the book off with, and you follow that character for like the 6 months between the end of Sailing to Sarantium and Lord of Emperors, or however long it is. It's really good. The way he ties everything together is amazing. It's like he takes all these little pieces of glass and puts them together and creates a mosaic that is a work of art. Yep, that was really stupid, but I'm leaving it in here. Lord of Emperors is like everything I loved about Sailing to Sarantium, just dialed up again. The political intrigue, the violence, the events that happen, the chariot races. There is a scene in here that is what I was talking about, where POVs are shifting and you're seeing things from different angles as this big event happens, and it revolves around a chariot race, and it is one of the most epic things that I have read in fantasy. And like I said, these books are just something else. If you enjoy historical fiction, you have got to try some Guy Gavriel Kay. Not only is he just an amazing writer, he reminds me a lot of Ken Follett in the way that he keeps the reader glued to the page. Something Ken Follett talked about in the way he writes is he makes a turn every 4 or 5 pages. And a turn is when the plot shifts in a way. And those turns are what propel a reader forward in a story. And this feels kind of like that. There's always something kind of changing, or a POV shifting, or an event happening in just the best way possible. A lot of the stuff I really want to talk about is probably a huge spoiler, so I'm not going to, but man, the depth you get from this very lived in world, all of his characters feel like real people. It's so rare that I find a fantasy book where I'm just like, man, I want to know these people, like really know them. They are awesome. And by the time I'm done, I feel like I know these people. It's just so beautiful the way he writes relationships, friendships, all of it. I mean, I'm rambling at this point. Holy crap. Guy Gavriel Kay is so good. You should definitely check out the Sarantine Mosaic. If you're a Rumaboo nerd like I am, then you should start with this. I mean, it will sell you on Guy Gavriel Kay as a writer. I just pictured it all in my head. He's so good at just getting the whole aesthetic of the empire in your head that you just see it. And even if you don't, spend like 10 minutes Googling Byzantine architecture and Byzantine mosaics, and then you will know. It just creates a scene in your mind in a way that a lot of writers just can't do. And it's great. Highly recommend it. Let me know if you've read the Sarantine Mosaic, or if you've read any other Guy Gavriel Kay. I want to thank you for watching. And with that, I'll see you next time.